International House San Isidro here in Argentina. He's the teacher trainer, teacher, does everything. He does everything there in San Isidro. He's going to be talking about the wonderful world of word formation. So it's great that people have been able to join us from all around the world. And do just remember that the workshop is being recorded. So if you don't want your name in the participant list seen on the recording, please leave now. Otherwise, do also remind your colleagues and friends that the recording will be available very, very soon on that playlist link that I've already given you for them to enjoy as well. So thank you very much for coming, everyone, this morning, and thank you very much, Alastair, for giving the workshop today, and I hope you all really enjoy yourselves. Over to you, Alastair.
Thank you very much, Neil, for that lovely introduction, as always. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, evening, wherever you are. I hope you're all very well. So, today we're going to be talking about word formation. I have a quick question for you before we begin. The question is, how many of you, if any, saw my little 10-minute or what turned out to be 14-minute session at the online conference earlier on this year? Well, about a month ago, back in May. I think it was the 8th of May. I did, Anthony Ash. You did, Anthony. That is very, very true. Good. Fantastic. That is a good thing, by the way, Anthony. You're going to be very useful for this session. You didn't know that before signing up, but you shall. So, to begin with, I have a little picture to show you. Because for people like Anthony or anyone else who might have been there, you may have seen this little man. I'm so adjective, I verb nouns. Ooh, yes, Anthony. Okay. The idea of this little man, we're going to revisit him later on. When I use this in the session back in May, I got everyone to think of words, well, specifically an adjective, a verb, or a noun, to think of before the end of the session to replace this with. So I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. I didn't. Okay, Gloria, now is your opportunity, except I'm going to make it a bit more complicated this time. Saying, I'm so adjective, I adverbially verb nouns. So before the end of the session, I want you all to think of an adjective, adverb, verb, and noun that you can replace that with. We had some great suggestions back in May. So to begin with, word formation. This is something that, well, my students have always had challenges with, definitely. And I found recently that even seemed like meta that they necessarily know what it meant. So we're going to be looking at many ways in order to sort of demystify all of that and make it slightly easier for them. These ideas have worked for me in class, and I hope they work for you guys too. So, to start with, though, I have a little quiz for you. Now, let's see, how many of you have we got? Oh, we have quite a few. 18 people, fantastic. Right, I'm going to start picking on you guys shortly to answer some questions. But to begin with, this is something for everyone together. So, there's 3 multiple choice questions for you. I give you multiple choices so as not to make it quite so difficult. In 1992, Dan Quayle became the only US vice president to misspell the word something in public. Now, I'm going to give you choices. A, al fresco. Sorry about the pronunciation, anyone who's from Italy. B, sombrero. Or C, potato. Quail. Quail is the little flightless bird, I think, Neil. And I think you spell his name with a Y, I think, anyway. Right, what have we got? Caroline, potato. Elliot, potato, 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 potato. Okay. So, right, to the spelling. Oh, sorry, Neil. Sorry, I'm a bit slow. It's early here. Right, so potato for everybody, yes? Correct. It was potato, which is very embarrassing for him and the US administration, etc. Not that things have got a lot better since. Anyway, moving on from politics, let's look at the next slide. Next question for you. That's a good start. Did he spell it with an E? I think he did, Anthony. I think that's what it was. And to be honest, I think I've done that before. I think I've spelled tomato with an E. Anyway, get on with it, shouldn't I, really? Right, me too. Thank you, Anthony. You're very sweet. Could have been potato there. Who knows? Right, okay, next slide. Next question for you. Right, so listen, guys. This is the most commonly misspelt word in the English language. Again, you've got 3 choices for this one. Choice number 1 is separate. Choice number 1. Choice A, separate. Choice B, definitely. Choice C, accommodation. Right. Go for it, guys. Right, Gloria's gone for C. G's gone for B. Who are you, G? Mysterious name. Okay, B, A, separate, definitely. Mary with a double Y on definitely, could be. Accommodation, Neil, B. John has gone for A. Right, okay. I'll put you out of your misery, all of you. The answer is A. Separate, apparently, is the most commonly misspelt word in the English language. Accommodation I put up there because I remember when I was doing, just before I did my CELTA training in IH London a long time ago, I was given a list of words to find spelling mistakes on, and accommodation was one of them. And it was quite embarrassing, actually, because I didn't find the spelling mistake, and it was more embarrassing because I actually worked in accommodation at the time. Anyway, let's move on. Final slide for you. What is that, Gloria? It's hard to spell for Spanish students. Yeah, definitely. If you pardon the pun, it is. Okay, last question for you before we get on with it. This is my favorite, actually. You can spell all the numbers from 1 to 99 without ever using the letter something. Matt, you've already gone for A. Let's see. Hold on, I'm going to give you choices. A, I believe, is one of the choices. A. Yeah. And that is that's why I've given you multiple choices. B, and C is, any guesses? C. So, what do you think, guys? A, B, or C? Numbers 1 to 99. And by the way, just to be clear, I mean 1 is in O-N-E. Right, what do you got? Ian from Bucharest, A, Caroline, A, Anthony, B, Neil, any of them? Interesting, Neil. Got some B's and some A's. Nobody likes C, apparently. What's wrong with C? Anyway, Neil, a very canny reply, and almost 100% correct. Certainly in terms of the question I've asked, you're 100% correct. You can spell the numbers from 1 to 99 without ever using the letters A, B, C, or apparently D. I have to admit, I didn't sit down and try this myself, but those 4 letters, which are quite frequent letters, unlike Z and etc., do not appear between the numbers 1 to 99. This was a challenge for us just now. It's more of a challenge for us students, obviously. So let's crack on and see what we're going to begin with today. I have a little warmer for you to get your brain cells working to begin with. This is a variant on the game Boggle. You have only 9 letters here, and what you need to do, I'm going to try and get my instructions right, is make words. You've got 9 letters here, and the idea is to make as many words as you can. But all of the words that you make must have the letter E in them somewhere. That's why the E in the center is red. Okay, great. So Elliot's come up with anger and T so far. And neat, fantastic. So all the words must have the letter E. Wow, everyone's typing at the same... My goodness, fantastic. Look at this. Good. Also, by the way, I love the enthusiasm, but there's one word that you can make with all 9 of the letters as well. What have you got? Get, date. Is that an imperative, Neil? Neat, greed, gear, regent, grade, green date. That sounds painful. Wow, look at that. Kate. Kate from Poland. Fantastic. Yeah, generated was the 9-letter word. And what's that? Only 3 E's, Anthony. Yeah, this is true. Brilliant. Yeah, the 9-letter word is generated. And if you hadn't got that, I had a little prompt to help you with it. Damn. I had a little prompt to help you with it. This is a really nice little warmer to give students at the start of class. I've used this anything from a pet level upwards. I have an advanced level class who insist on playing this every time, and they kind of get a bit upset if we have a different warmer at the beginning. Pardoning the pun, it's a very generative warmer as well, and the record, this word held the record in my advanced class. There was a couple in the class who got 37 words out of this. And this is really good, it's quite a demand high idea to show students what they can actually do. Melanie, really good question. Yeah, there is a time limit, I should have said. 2 minutes I give them. I say 2 minutes to them, like 2 minutes, but actually they end up getting about 4 or 5 in the end, but they get some sort of, oh my god, okay. Kate, who did it as a competition for our teen classes this year. Oh, fantastic. I'd be interested to know how that worked. If it was like for all the classes, and they did it, and you collected the scores or something. And Neil saying, well, if everyone can see, there's an IH Games Bank version called Babel. Fantastic. Okay. Yeah, Elliot, damn doesn't work either. Very true. All right, so cracking on. You can also, if your students, I mean, so many of my younger learners right now, we're finding this a lot at IHWO San Isidro, are really sort of online based, and doing this with the British Council is one of the many sites that has an online version of this, and making it a competition. You can see that they've got a time limit there. Josephine, trouble with audio. I hope that's not me, trouble with audio, but I'm sure Neil will tell me. As you can see, I cleverly spelt the word llama, and I got 3 points from it. Great, Neil, thank you. So, oh, brilliant, thank you, Neil. That's the link to the resources bank there. Kate's written, yes, for all of them. The winning class had the most words for lower levels we gave, so includes my class one. Of course they did, Kate. Great, very good. Okay. So, moving on, another question for you. Where did all this start? Let's say my idea of the concept of word formation and why it's so important. Another question for you. Who is this beautifully mustachioed gentleman in the picture? I've got 3 choices. Number 1, René Descartes, the famous French philosopher. I am. I will. Number 2, Ferdinand de Saussure, the French linguist. Number 3, my uh, two, no idea. 3, Caroline, 3. If my great-granddad had invented the concept of what this gentleman invented, I might be, I don't know, not here, but writing philosophy books or something like that. Most of you have put 2, that's correct. It is Ferdinand de Saussure, pardon my terrible pronunciation, a French linguistic hermeneutic philosopher. And one of the concepts that Saussure came up with is the following. A few words for you, 6 in fact. Extremely spilt wine and expensive Neil. Little problem with this sentence. I wonder if you guys can perhaps see what the problem with the sentence is and maybe do something about the problem. Okay, silence from the chat box. Here we go. Neil and Melanie are having some ideas. Multiple people are having ideas. Right, let's see. Wine spilt an extremely expensive Neil. No, very close, Neil. Very, very close. Okay, Neil spilt an extremely expensive wine. Right, exactly. So, Neil spilt an extremely expensive wine. Got it. Okay, perfect. So, the basic problem with this sentence is obviously the order of the words. And Saussure had this idea, and I remember seeing this on Delta a few years ago, is that the most fundamental problem with understanding the meaning of a sentence is less the vocabulary and more the order in which they are, the order in which the words are in. So the 6 words should be, as you've said, Neil spilt an extremely expensive wine. What Susso was talking about here was he had 2 axes. The syntagmatic axis, which is a horizontal, which is to do with the order of the words in the sentence. And then he said that you've also got a paradigmatic, a vertical axis as well, in which you can replace the words that I've put in colours with different words. You can replace, for example, well, the verbs, nouns, adjectives, adverbs with different ones. So, for example, instead of saying Neil, we could say Alastair, we could say Gloria, or Ian, or Anthony. Instead of saying spilt, we could say knocked over, etc. So his idea is the most fundamental way of understanding. And you replace the content words with many others, depending on your intention. So how is this important for us students? Well, take a look at this. I've said, why are the coloured words so important here? What I'd like you guys to do is fill in the blanks in this tiny little text. It says, teacher came home, football match, was happy, favourite team, won, game, fortunately. All I'd like you to do is fill in the blanks, as in fill in where I have underlined with what you think might be appropriate words in the style of the first certificate part 2 of the use of English paper. Right, so what have we got? Many people typing. Chun 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 chun. Many people typing, but nothing coming up yet. Oh wow, that was quick, Mary. His teacher came home from his football match and was happy that his favourite team had won the game, fortunately. In fact, look at this, Helen. The from the he, she, because his, her had the. My teacher came home. Okay, fantastic. So this is good. Like Mary, Helen, and Gloria, you've come up with 3 alternatives for the first word. You got exactly the right idea. So the words that you have filled in just now, would you describe those as content words or function words? The ones that you've just filled in. Let's see, here we go. And the answer is, yeah, function words, exactly. The other words that you've got in the sentence, the green, the blue, the red, and the alarmingly fuchsia, that you have there, Gloria, they can be replaced. Yes, yeah, indeed they can. I mean, as can the content words as well. But my point in putting this up is, without the content words, do you still understand the meaning of the text or not? Sorry, without the function words, do you still understand the meaning of the text? Yeah, you do. Yeah, some could be fillers, Melanie. Yeah, you do. I mean, saying teacher came home football match, was happy. Favourite team won game, fortunately. People still, yeah, like a telegram. Precisely, Helen. I mean, you would still understand exactly what was being said, the basic meaning of the sentence, without the function words in it. So it's the coloured words I've put here that are so important. Yeah, I agree, more or less you do. So why is this so important for our students? Take a look at this little table I've got here. I've added a word, and like I was saying earlier on, what can be done is replacing those content words with others. I've given you a little example here. Instead of Neil carelessly spilt an extremely expensive wine, I've put Sean happily bought a really old whiskey. What I'd like you guys to do is come up with another sentence using the same nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverb order that I've put here. So yeah, my second option is Sean happily bought a really old whiskey. So I'd like some other ideas from you guys as to what we could replace those other content words with. Right, many people typing, great. In a second, by the way, what we're going to do is try and unblock from our students' perspective that so the function of what those content words do. Right, let's see what you're going to come up with. Elliot. You've personalized, Elliot. Very good. Elliot happily drank a stupidly strong beer. Good, I like it. Melanie. Mary carefully poured an extremely delicious lemonade. Love it. I've got a little bit of dust on my screen and I thought it said Mary carefully pouted. Good. Matt famously crashed an extremely crazy party. Perfect. So this, like you guys are going to do again at the end with a little yellow man that we saw, this is something that you guys are going to do later on. This is something that you can get your students to do as well, to show them how important these words are and all the different things that they come up with. Right, having done that, you'll see in the second part of the table, under Sean happily bought really old whiskey, you've got a question mark under all of the different columns. So what we need to do with our students, therefore, is to say, okay, so what is it that all those words mean? What functions do they perform? For example, with Sean and whiskey, they are all what, the words in green? As in nouns, verbs, adjectives, or adverbs? They're nouns, yeah, exactly. Great. And just after the Sean, you've got happily and bought. So let's look at bought for a second, the word in blue. Now, that's one of the main focuses of the sentence, obviously. And the word in blue, spilt, is obviously a verb. So what we need to look at with our students is what it is that the function that the words in the sentence perform. So just before bought, there's happily, and I've put describes with question mark. So the word happily describes what? Chen, chen, chen. Right, exactly. Perfect. Yeah, it describes the word bought, which is a verb, and as Gloria says, this is an adverb of manner. Adverb describes the buying. So this is something that you can get your students to do. Instead of just telling them that, getting them to work this out for themselves, asking them, what the point of these words in the sentences are. Now, in the second half of the sentence, we've got a slightly different situation with our adverb, because you've got really old whiskey. We can say that old obviously describes the whiskey, so therefore what function does extremely perform as an adverb? What does extremely do to expensive? Qualify. I believe so, yes. Intensifies, yeah, exactly. Right. Kate's put adverb agree, Gloria intensify, perfect. Yeah, so this time the function of the adverb is to describe the adjective rather than describing a verb. So this is something to show students and to show them, or to get them to work out what the functions of those content words are in the sentence. I think this is really important because This is actually giving them some ownership of the English language, getting them to work it out for themselves. So, moving on from there. What's important then is having done that, show them, okay, so we've got carelessly describes the verb split, extremely modifies expensive, which also describes wine. These little arrows going over it so that they can see the connection. Fine, taking two of the words here, taking expensive, the adjective, and carelessly, the adverb. Some of you might have seen me do a similar activity back in May. I've put suffixes, how many words can you make? What I would like you guys to do, in the chat box if you please, is put down some other words that end with the suffix "iv" and some other words that end with the suffix "li." So some adjectives with "iv" and adverbs with "li." Right, here we go. What have we got? Massive, perfect. What else, what else, what else? Positive, great. Literally, excellent. Recklessly, wow, Helen. Descriptive, inquisitive, persuasive, quietly. Brilliant. Fantastic. Fortunately, yeah, exactly. So, obviously, in the English language, well, there's this whole... Wow, look at that, Neil. Ubiquitously, right? Figuratively, John. I love it. So, there's this whole wealth of words in the English language that they can come up with. But again, giving this to your students as an activity to do is showing them that there's all these words that they know as well, which finish with the same suffixes too. So then it's important to say, okay, suffixes in that case. So with expensive, or what you said, inquisitive or descriptive, what does that suffix signify, for example? And I want you to do the same thing again in the chat box with "li" as well. We've got carelessly, you've said quietly, fortunately, recklessly, figuratively. So what's the meaning? Less about adjective and adverb, but what's the meaning of the suffix? Right, so Melanie's put, yeah, having that characteristic. Yeah, I believe so. Having the characteristic of expense, of describing something, like positive, massive, the quality of being big as well. And you've got the same situation with the adverb, with "li" as well. Melanie's put in that manner, yeah, in a careless way, in a quiet way, in a fortunate way, in a reckless way. So again, instead of saying to the students, all right, this is what these suffixes do, saying to them, you tell me what these suffixes mean. And again, that's giving them some ownership of the language and of the process of it. So, moving on from there, I would like you guys now to add some prefixes to these words. I've picked out expensive here, and you've got cast, relevant, set, and structure. Again, this will end up being quite the idea is a demand-high exercise to get your students to show you and to show them, more importantly, what they can produce. So we've got Elliot, inexpensive, fantastic. Chun, 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 chun. What else? Podcasts. Gloria, I hadn't thought of that one. I was thinking of, I was thinking what Kate put, out overcast. Didn't think of outcast. Melanie, what have you put? Unre-ear, preset. Substructure. Great. Downcast, fantastic. Irrelevant, perfect. Unset, downcast, irrelevant. Infrastructure, upset. Great, perfect. Very, very good. So again, the idea of this is instead of suffix with prefix to get the students to show you, but also themselves, more importantly, what it is that they can produce as well, the different words that they know in the English language. What have you got, Kate? Onset, outset, offset. Perfect. So they can be in a way their own best resource to some extent, and then getting them to look at what those prefixes mean. For example, I've got 4 words for you here. I've got bicycle, malicious, disprove, and enlighten. Now, again, what I would like you guys to do, just like you do with the suffixes, is to think of other words with those prefixes. So bi, mal, dis, and n. So go for it. In the chat box, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, I think, to put as many up as you can. Right, what have we got? Bilateral, bisect. Great. Let's have some more. Disobey. Melanie, we've got malware, improve, re-enlighten. I like that. Bicentennial, bisexual, malfunction, malcontent, malfunctioning. Good. Let's have some more with N. Give me some more with N, guys. Chum 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 chum. Malfunctioning. Enable, enlarge. Great. Love it, love it, love it. Entire, enlarge, enlist, entreat, enactment. Brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, so we've got quite a lot for bi, we've got some for mal, we've got some for dis, we've got some for n. That's really great. So again, getting your students to was they know with the exactly, because there's plenty of them. So then again, the question is getting your students to tell you let's see. I'm gonna pick some people out, I think. Who should I pick on first? I think Matt. If I could trouble you, I'm gonna trouble you with the prefix bi, okay? And let's see. Kate, I'm gonna give you mal. And Gloria, I'm gonna give you dis. And let's see. Helen, I'm going to give you N. So let me know if that's okay, guys. I've given you those prefixes. What I'd like you to do is, you see in the second half of the table, it says, what do these prefixes mean? What I'd like you to do is write in the chat box what you think, what function you think the prefixes have for those words. So again, bi, mal, dis, and n. Right, so Matt has put 2 for bicycle. Right, and what did we have, the other words for bicycle? Bisect into bilateral, like a bilateral agreement with 2 parties. Bisexual, obviously. Great. And Kate says something is bad with mal. Okay, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Like, well, with the examples we've got, malfunction, malcontent. My teaching and learning context is Buenos Aires in Argentina, and the word for bad is mal. I believe it's the same in French as well. I think it's a sort of a loan word. And going on to dis, Gloria. So dis is the opposite meaning of the original word, right? I believe so. Like you had disobey, so not to obey, for example. Disrespectful, not being respectful. Right, and Helen, what have we put here? To be put into something as in case. Yeah, I think it is something like that, Helen, with N. Because we've got, well, enlighten, you've said in case. What else? We had enable, enlarge, and entire. Seems like with enable, for example, it's you've got the also, it's like it's making it a verb. So enlarge, large the adjective, N is making it so. Enact, again, it's sort of making an act. So it seems like that's performing the function of, Helen said, to cause something, exactly. Is into, it almost like turns the adjective, or whatever it happens to be, into a verb. So again, getting students to look at this themselves and working that out for themselves, I think, is very important, rather than you just simply telling them, this is what this does, this is what that does. Okay, very good, guys. Right, so let us move on. Now, this is something that we've seen many times before for our students, word formation for exams. This is a perennial challenge for them, as we know. And I've got you a little first certificate one for you, so hopefully that won't be too challenging. And Anthony, I know that you've seen this one before, so you won't get any points for getting any of the answers right. I'm very, very sorry. I'll tell you what the idea of this is. No problem. I'll tell you what the idea of this is. That obviously our students with such an exercise have to choose the correct suffix, prefix, infix, depending that is kind of what I was going to say. Is what are these words, or what do we need here? I'm going to read it to you. Remembering for exams. Something, something, something. Ideas to help a bad memory, which is a disadvantage for students. Instead of reading silent, we should record the material and then listen to it. One particularly value idea is that there is a greater possible for remembering something when the house is peace, and preferably just before bedtime. So what we need to do with students is say, this is something we're going to look at in a couple of minutes. What words do you need here? Clearly they know that that's what they're supposed to do. Now, what Elliot's put in the chat box, which is great, is number one, you need an adverb. And how do the students know that they need an adverb for that? Well, they know that because it's got the word reading before it. So, just quickly, I think we've got the answers to this already. We've got silently, valuable, the adjective, possibility, noun, and peaceful, adjective, when the house is peaceful. So after they've done that, they've done such an exercise, instead of just leaving it there, give them another idea. Here in this slide you've got, okay, silently, valuable, possibility, and peaceful. And the idea is now to say, okay, so we've got these suffixes, li, able, ility, and full. And to say, right, again, with these words that you've just taken from the exercise you've just done, how many words can you create? Now, I've put some words up here. Instead of silently, I've put happily. Instead of valuable, I've put changeable. Instead of possibility, I've put stability. And instead of peaceful, I have put beautiful. So, what I would like you guys to do again, I'm going to give you a couple of, well, no, I'm going to give you 1 minute, I think, to put as many different words as you can in the chat box with the suffix li, able, ility, and full. Again, I've given you happily, changeable, stability, and beautiful. Right, so let's see, what have we got? Many people typing, dum 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 dum. Right, surprisingly, fantastic. Okay. Careful, graceful, skinful. That's a really great expression. I think it's something to do with drinking too much, isn't it, Helen? Like, I've had an absolute skinful. Great. Cheerfully, angrily, agility, love it. Slowly, helpful, joyfully, a houseful. I've got a house full of wine, so I'm going to have an absolute skinful. Helen's told ability, great, fantastic. So, hospitality, funnily. So getting all of these words, admittedly, perhaps they're not likely necessarily to come up with skinful. If they do, then congratulations, and they should be in a post-prof level probably. What have we got? Touchily, lamentable, possibility, spoonful, great. So again, getting them to show themselves how many words that they can come up with, and that they know that so many words that have these suffixes, they know this already. And what's important about that is obviously that they're aware that they've got this little mental dictionary with all these suffixes anyway, and then getting them to work out and tell you and themselves the function of those suffixes. So then, how can we make sure that our students are able to keep all of that, to see how all of that works and how that cashes out in reality for them? Take a look at this slide here. He's a football player, admittedly. Strangely, Neil's not saying anything about this. I would have thought he would be the first one to Tottenham Hotspur football team in England, whose name is Harry Kane. And what I've given you here, apart from his picture, which is relevant, is I've said, remember that every word counts when they're doing a word formation exercise. This is something that they really need to remember. For example, I've given you the base word effect here. Just the word effect. And we can make many words from effect. And what I'm going to ask you to do in a moment is to do exactly that, just like our students would. So, for example, if we have that base word, just like they do in a word formation exercise, and then they have the word, then they have a little phrase here, very short one, defense. So, how could they change the word effect to put it in front of defense? Multiple attendees are typing. Fantastic. Effective, ineffective, effective, 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 side effective. That is interesting, Mary. I didn't think of that. An effective defense. Right, exactly. So, again, ineffectual. Yes, indeed, Eunice. Another thing. So again, the word defense is a noun, so they need to describe the noun, as we were looking earlier on when we were looking at Monsieur de Saussure. Would be ineffective if we were looking at Brighton and Hove Albion. Oh dear. So anyway, I got distracted with the footballing reference from Kate there. So with this word effect, they would need to change it to, yeah, possibly effective, ineffective, ineffectual, context. The context of getting the general meaning of things from the sense around it in terms of the sense relations, but also the cotext, the words around it, which help the students work out what word it is they need in a word formation exercise. So let's add a bit more context and cotext here. Right, this time I've said, and Kate, we're not talking about Brighton and Hove Albion. Let's say we're talking about Arsenal instead, just off the top of my head. They provided defense as Tottenham still scored. So what word would they need to put in this time? Inadequate. True, but sorry, bad instruction on my part. What I should have said is with the word effect again. Alright, great. So ineffective. No, Helen, it's my fault. It's my fault. I should have been clearer. Cheatingly ineffective. Yeah, especially if we're talking about Arsenal. Sorry if there's any Arsenal fans out there. Ineffective, ineffective, ineffective. Yeah, exactly. So, again, this time, it needs to be Juventus. They provided Juventus defense. This time, it needs to be a negative adjective. Tell me how you know, or how the students would know, that it needs to be a negative adjective. In the chat box, how do they know it would need to be a negative adjective? Well, I have a sip of water. Yeah, from the context. Absolutely. What I mean is, what is the context, though? What is the phrase that tells the students or the team? Yeah, it could be, Gloria. It could be, depending how up on they are on their football knowledge. Right, so Mary's put still scored. Helen, Tottenham still scored. Helen, I take it you're not a Spurs fan. You can't bring yourself to type the whole of the name of the team. Right, John, exactly. The other team scored, the word still. John, or just scored. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Helen, Chelsea. Well, that's okay. That's okay. Okay. So, yeah, exactly. With more context and with more cotext, they know that it needs to be negative. What's the point of this? The thing is, I think we know as teachers that what students very often tend to do, I mean, my first certificate students definitely do this, is they so We know the word effect. I know the word effect, and I know the word effective, and stick it down. Or I know the word, let's say, fortunate, and instead of saying whichever happens to be more present and more frequent in their recollection at the time. I think what tends to happen is students get so overexcited about the fact that they know thing that comes into their mind. Yeah, exactly. Melanie's written stressed in the chat box. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, not only in class, but this is one of the first times, if you pardon the pun, that they've done an exercise like that. And so they will be thinking, oh my goodness, stressed, I have very little time to do this. In 10 minutes per exercise. The whole thing's 1 hour and a quarter, and you've got like 7, 8 parts to it. So they need to be, this needs to be sort of drummed into them, as it were, that they need to take all these things into consideration. And just to drum in the point a bit more, one more little piece of context and co-text for you here. They provided blank defence. Sorry, they provided defence blank this time, as Tottenham still scored. So, what could you put in this time? What word could go here now? Right, ineffectively. Exactively. Exactively. I've just invented a word there. And this session's being recorded. I hope I'm famous for this, Neil. I've invented the word exactively. They provided defence ineffectively, yeah, as Tottenham still scored. So again, they need to know, or it needs to be elicited from them, that because in this case they've got the verb, they provided defence. Ineffectively is going to be describing, like you guys were saying earlier on, the manner in which they provided defence. All these things have to be taken in consideration. Students need to be not necessarily told this, but this elicited from them, so that this gives them more ownership, so that they can see how this sentence fits together. And I mean, I'm working out with my first class at the moment that they know a lot more than they think they do. Focusing on the exam side of oh, that's interesting. I think in my slide the word please has got an E underneath it. Just to be clear, it is supposed to say the word please. I've written luscious lemmas at the top of the slides. A lemma, so that you know, as I understand it, linguistically speaking, is like the canonical form of a word. And with the root word here, I've given you all these other different words from it. Displeased, displeasing, displeasure, pleasure, pleasured, etc., etc., etc. And a good thing to do with students, which I'm going to do with you guys in a second, is to get them to come up with as many different words from a root word as they can, going in to a word formation exercise. I found this very useful at the beginning of a year with a class in order to get them foamy letter. I'm not sure what that means, Caroline, but I agree. Foamy letter. The root word. So going back to, we use IHWO Aires. They work great. Fantastic. Yeah, they really do. I'm going to go back just quickly to the slide about this one right here. Giving them, before they do the exercise, those words, just the words, so advantage, silent, value, possible, peaceful, skipping forward past Harry, and get them to come up with as many words as they can before they engage with the exercise, so how much they know. And you can get them to do this in teams. Melanie, how do you deal with words that do not exist? Dictionary. Do you mean like the one that I came up with earlier, exactively, or exactingly? I can't remember what I said now. I think I invented a word. Yeah, if the word doesn't exist and the teacher's invented a word like I did, then yeah, you have problems and you have to put your hand up like I just did and say, sorry, I've invented that word, it doesn't exist. What I'm going to get you to do is do exactly the same thing here. So I'm going to give you, know the students, with words that don't exist. So if they don't exist, again, yeah, dictionary, absolutely, and we're gonna look at some ways of sorting that out in a minute. I'm going to give you two words here. Well, this is what I'm going to do before you start going crazy on it already is I'm going to split you guys in terms of the chat box. We've got 14 people here, so what I'd like is everybody from, this is in alphabetical order, from Anthony down to, this is where I test my math skills, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anthony to Gloria, you are team popular. And from Helen down to Melanie, you are team success. What I would like you to do, so team popular and team success, as many words as you can from the words I've given you. Can't I play? Yeah, of course you can, Neil. In fact, your job, Neil, is to play for both sides, if you see what I mean, and do popular and success at the same time. Right, go for it. 30 seconds, many words as you can. Team Anthony, team Helen, go for it. Let's see how many which team gets the most amount of words. Right. Wow. I should be writing these down, but you're too fast for me, guys. You're too fast for me. Right. How many popular ones you got? Well, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for popular. I count 7. And for success, 1. Unsuccessful. Successfully. Successful. Any more for success? Unsuccessfully. Succeed is included. Yes, absolutely, Neil. Let's do that. Successive. Wow, I didn't think of that. Successfulness. That's 7 as well. Successively. Could that be an 8th? I think Neil will be able to... I tell you what, Neil, what would be really great is if you could count the words up that both teams have come up with. Otherwise, I'm going to embarrass everyone with my terrible math skills. If you could count the words up, you don't have to, Neil, and see which team has got the most words. Okay, stop. That's great. I'm extremely impressed. So, many words that you come up for popular. Team Anthony and Team Helen, you should be pleased with yourselves. It's a draw. Great. Good to know. Fantastic. Well done, guys. So again, giving this to students, everyone's a winner. Oh, we all win. Yeah, exactly. We all win, guys. Is giving this to students and getting them to, and again, I think it's really important to give an element of competition to this kind of thing. Especially, I think, with younger learners, because not only have they got a clear task that they need to focus on, but also the element of competition makes it a bit more motivating. There's a bit more intrinsic motivation and arguably instrumental motivation that's going on there. If they've got an element of competition in it, and then engage excuse me, engage with their word formation exercise. So speaking of games and the like, I've just got a few slides to show you here. Sadly, the limitations of the platform say that we can't necessarily play this game together. It'd be great if we could. Well, and the website too. Again, I have played these with younger learners, but also with my adult learners as well. The idea with this one, this is like I've put here for a basic level, okay? I've put the link at the bottom of the page so that you can open it in your browser at any point if you'd like to, not necessarily now, but in your own time or with your students. You have a little Space Invaders game here, where it gives you a root word, and what you have to do, you can see there's little arrows at the bottom of the page here. And what you're supposed to do is to choose which suffix you want, and you can scroll back and forth between the suffixes, and you can fire a little spaceship to shoot a little laser bolt at the alien spaceship, and you can see where it says comfortable, because I intelligently destroyed the alien spaceship by saying comfortable. This is quite fun to play with younger learners. Again, it introduces an element of competition to it as well, if you have a little Space Invader tournament. And there's a little clock you can see at the bottom, which team does the most in whatever time. And it tells you that whether it's right or wrong with the green tick and the red cross right there. Okay, there's also a slightly more intermediate level one here too, if I can find it. Where is it? There it is. All right. This is for, like I say, more for an intermediate level now. The idea is this, that what they're supposed to do is you've got a word, and as you can say in the instructions, you divide the prefix or the suffix depending from the rest of the word. And instead of giving them a word where they're supposed to add a suffix or prefix to it, this has already got the suffix or prefix, and what they do, thank you Neil, that's great, is to split the word in the various parts. The one here is in two parts only, hypertension. But they obviously can do this with longer words, with a bigger morphology to them, so that they can see how they can work out how those words are connected, where you've got the morphine tension and the bound morphine hypertension. Together. Again, I've put the link in the bottom of the page for you to use with your students. By the way, also, you can see in the purple part, just underneath a slightly scary looking mouse there, it says, hint 1 of 1, the prefix means over. In each case, it tells your students what the prefix or the suffix means. So not only are they're working on their their base level morphology, but they're also seeing what the prefixes and suffixes mean too. So they're exploring the meaning of them. Oh, but again, you know, I think demystifying all of this for students is so important. I don't like the idea of, which is sometimes said, okay, this word exists because it does, or you don't have to work it out, you just have to accept it. I think if you're giving them some ownership, then it makes it all the more involving and understandable for them. So we've had basic, intermediate, and here's an advanced one for you now. Right. You'll see why I say this is a bit more advanced. You can see that what you're supposed to do here is, well, match with lines, and all the lines have different colors to them. The suffixes, excuse me, to the meaning on the right. I would say this. Arguably, I'm willing to be argued with here. Should be for a slightly higher level, just because. Thank you, Neil. That's terrific. You got the link in the chat box there, guys. Just because I think they'll need to have seen quite a few of these words first. They'll need to have seen what they mean in context, and already have got an idea of the function of the suffixes and prefixes before they do this. You can see that I haven't done particularly well in the screen capture that I took here. With the green ticks, you've got ism and the belief Alastair, in something, oid, resembling,
thank you very much for
like or shaped.
Alastair, for lots of great ideas and lots of fun.
You can see that I got this wrong.
I'm sure you'll join me in a round of applause for Al before we leave, just by clicking on that little man at the top.
That was to show like that students get the green ticks and the red crosses.
I'm sure
what I'd like you guys to do
to ask now, because
is, now we've seen
off to the day job, so if you do have any questions for Al, please email them
or ism yet. What I'd like you to do is, I think I'm going to have you in these two teams again.
Everybody else
now that we've been talking about teams. Right, this time,
we'll be back
I think
after
I'm Spanish, so we're going to have Caroline, you are now
if any of you would like
head
to do
of team down as far as Gloria, and Helen again, you're down in charge as far as Team Melanie.
You think should be doing a low?
I'm going to get you to give me some words here with the suffixes on them. Okay,
thanks one more time to Alastair for today.
Let's say it's going to be OUS and oid, I would like.
And good luck.
Just those two, OUS and oid. See what you can get.
In the future. Thank you all for coming. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
Oh, look at this. Deltoid, rhomoid, void, cuboid. What about the us people? Cautious.